Welcome to Coffee with MBA and Beyond, everyone. It's good to see such a good attendance today and hoping to see more of them joining. I'm Paridhi, co-founder of MBA and Beyond, and I've got two very special people with me today as our speakers. I am definitely going to hand over the space for them to introduce themselves. But before we do that, we welcome you to go on your camera. It'll be nice to see some more faces just instead of, just us looking at each other, the three of us. And second, we are going to start with some of the really hot questions we've received from candidates. And as we are going through the session, you can drop your questions in the chat window or raise your hands. We are happy to invite you to unmute yourself and ask your questions as we go. This is going to be an interactive session. And the more questions come from you, the more we'll be happier to address them, because that's what the whole interactive session is about. Today, I'm hoping most of us are targeting January 26 intake for INSEAD and HEC. And we've got Maria and Shantanu with us, best of both the worlds that we are looking at. So I'd invite maybe starting with Shantanu to introduce himself and then over to Maria.
Right. Hola, amigos. Good turn around. I could see already 55 participants now. Guys, a quick intro. I'm Shantanu. I'm an INSEAD grad 2017 December batch. I'm also a co-founder at MBA and Beyond. We've helped like thousands of applicants and with scholarship as well. Apart from my work, I also mix music. If you guys are in Goa, like next month, like this month, I didn't get enough time because I was busy with, the deadlines and everything. But next month I would definitely be playing. So if you are over here, hit me up. Maria, over to you.
Hello, hi guys. Thanks for having me, inviting me to this coffee session. This is my first one with MBA and Beyond, as I'm recently joined MBA and Beyond family. So I'm happy to be with you guys today. I will say hello and bonjour from France. I'm based here in Europe, and I see Paridhi is all in short sleeves, so it's a bit chilly here in Europe. So I'm in a blue sweater. I'm originally from Serbia. Started my career within a family business back in Serbia with my mom. Spent 10 years, a decade within tourism sector, and wanted to try my chances in outside world as a very young individual. So I went to the Middle East for a couple of years, did the same sector on operational side. And then by chance came to France in Europe, and I stayed here. It's been 15 years of my life here with my family, and career-wise, I had a chance, and I've been blessed to be part of HEC Paris staff from 2015. It's been basically 10 years I've been within the educational sector, and I'm very passionate about higher education in general. It's a life-changing sector, I must say. So I'm always passionate and love to hear when some of young people wants to join MBA journey or EMBA journey. It's definitely a transition of a lifetime. So yes, I've been within this sector, started back in 2015 as a coordinator, then climbed positions up in following years as a program advisor on different executive masters in finance, in consulting and coaching for change. And then recently, I think I spent 6 years within Trime GlobalMBA team as responsible for recruitment, full recruitment cycle, and basically selecting and attracting and recruiting top talents for this amazing program. And very recently with MBA and Beyond, yes.
Thank you so much, Maria and Shantanu. It's a pleasure to have you. So without much ado, we can start off with our first question. And I see we already have a hand raised. So Priyanka, just hang in there. We are definitely going to come over to you maybe after 2 questions. Let's get on to the most, that get the ball rolling so everybody can drop in their questions. So the first one is, what is the best time to apply for INSEAD and HEC, considering that both of them have rolling admissions now? So
Yeah.
anyone of you?
So I can start if Shantanu is okay with that.
Yeah.
I think we should probably demystify what is rolling admissions. So not every school offer this possibility or this policy. They don't have it all. So unlike traditional admissions with a fixed application deadline and also a specific notification deadline, rolling admissions will operate on an ongoing basis, right? So under rolling admissions, the school will accept and evaluate applications as they arrive. And also admissions decisions are made consistently in a continuous way. So throughout the whole admission cycle, instead of waiting to review all applications after a specific deadline. So the rolling admission process will guarantee you a quick response to your application. So you're free to apply to your intended intake throughout the whole year. These schools will typically send out the notification decisions within 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 10 weeks, and selecting applications until all open spots for the incoming class have been filled, right? There are some biggest advantages of rolling admissions for candidates. While you still need a strong application that will also need to meet school expectations and requirements, applying early in the rolling admission cycle when the most spots are available logically can raise your chances of getting accepted. So early applications could boost your chances of getting into your preferred program and also your dreamed institution. Also scholarships will be available very early in the admission cycle and will give you opportunity of course exploring more on housing, organizing these logistical things around this project. It's a huge project. You do this in once in a lifetime, so you have to prepare things ahead. And there are also some downsides of rolling admissions I must mention. So for example, applying late could significantly decrease your chances of acceptance, as spots may become limited, specifically in these most demanding top MBA programs such as INSEADMBA or HEC Paris MBA. When we speak about these two schools, they both have two intakes per year, January and September for HEC Paris, and August and September for INSEAD. But we can speak about this more in detail later.
Right. So I think Maria explained it really very well. You know, what's the definition of rolling? So I'm not going to get into it. Thanks, Maria. But yeah, just the way she mentioned, you know, like one thing that I've been telling applicants is that competition is never absolute; it's always relative. You know, so what a rolling admissions give you is that the competition, you know, in the big name. I mean, if you're being compared in a pool of 100 versus you're being compared in a pool of 1,000, right? That's a stark difference. Indeed, apply ASAP, right, in the program. So we generally have 2 batches in every round. One where people are proactive, you know, they're applying like good 15, 20 days ahead of the deadline. There are a few who would apply like even a month before, you know. And then there's another pool that's going to apply, you know, close to the deadline. I would recommend applying earlier, just the way Maria mentioned, right? Like, because rolling has its own upside and downside. Yeah, that's it. And what at the moment we are doing for INSEAD is that the deadline is on 15th of March. So we have an application pool where people are going to apply by 15th Feb. You know, so that's something that we are doing from our end.
Yeah, and another thing with this rolling admissions process, they basically provide candidates this extra flexibility, understanding the challenges of balancing your work while you are working on your application. So they will basically have, with HEC Paris MBA, for instance, they will have 9 to 10 application rounds available, and candidates, yourself, you can choose the one that suits you best, right? So it's important to note that all rounds are equally fair in terms of seats and scholarships. So they want to ensure a balanced approach across all deadlines and not to have full admitted people by one deadline, the first deadline. So that said, many candidates prefer applying early to allow time for preparing this transition, coming to a certain country where you will be following your MBA journey and your campus life, student life over a year.
Absolutely. Thank you, both of you. A follow-up question that I often get, for example, right now, candidates are, of course, they want to start early for HEC Paris. They are like, should we, because it's rolling admission, we're ready with our score and our application. Should we be submitting our application for September 25 intake or push it to Jan 26? And I mean, I just say like, it's a no-brainer. It's just a few months here and there. Instead, you know, if you want to maximize your chances, instead of going for September 26, wait out and be an early applicant for Jan 26. But what are your thoughts, Maria, on that for HEC specifically?
I've been seeing both, basically. So it's a tricky question, you know. It depends. It really depends on the person's projects, right? I always cover this question, and it takes the most of my time while speaking to people. What is your project professionally and personally? When are you ready to do it, right? So you will be away from your home and your work. So professionally speaking with your employer, with your superiors, where is the best time for you to be outside the company, right? And then with your family, for some of you, you will have partners, kids, you will be away for a year. This should be planned ahead, really, for some months ahead, for some a year ahead. Also financially, we are speaking about costly programs, right, Parikhi? So you should be organizing your finances, and while applying early to within the admission cycle, you will also have this opportunity for scholarship. For some institutions, they will have this first come, first served basis, right, for scholarship. So in that sense, I always prefer to say yes as early as possible. But if you are completely ready on all these levels, financially, professionally, personally, organize all these aspects of your life, why not to give it a shot right now?
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Shantanu, another question that I get for Roland, and guys, we're going to jump onto your questions because I see a lot of them have already dumped it in there. So yes, Shantanu, a lot of times since INSEAD has only opened rolling admissions very recently, since last year. So the candidates are always confused, like, why is there a deadline then? And why is there a round? So maybe Shantanu, if you can help us understand, like, what does rolling admission mean for INSEAD, even though the first deadline is 11th of March? Are we going to hear on the interviews before 11th of March as they are reading it, or they are going to wait out until 11th of March and like release the results after that? So what does it mean for INSEAD?
Right. So see, you might receive the interview decision sooner, but your interview is going to happen in a particular duration. That's how it is, because INSEAD asks alums to take to organize all the stuff. So what they do is they have alums available in a certain duration. So what's going to happen is if you apply earlier, you will have the interview decision earlier, but your interview is only going to happen in that particular time period. And then basis that you're going to have a decision, but a lot of times what we have also seen is that, let's say, if you are able to jump on the interview in the first week, we have also seen that the final decision also comes earlier, so yeah, that's how it is. Sooner the better. I hope I have answered the question, Pradeep.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying, both of you. So now that comes to the point, like, if you're targeting January 26 intake and the deadlines, if we see, are March, like somewhere in March, if you're ready with...
Yeah, what does deadline mean? Sorry, I missed that. Guys, I mean, eventually these institutions are nothing but a business, right? they also got to make sure, how many seats are already being filled in, in a specific timeline. So that's what the round is, that they say that we are going to fill in these many seats by this particular deadline, just treat it like that. And that's how it is. Maria actually has been an insider in AdCom. Maria, would love to hear your thoughts over this one.
Yeah, for instance, HEC also, they have opened for January 2026 intake, so applications are open now, and they will basically have monthly rounds. So they will have, you will see on their website, somewhere each mid-month, they will have open applications. So monthly rounds running until November. Right, so this will allow candidates the flexibility to probably retake the GMAT. They will also have possibility to refine their essays or strengthen their application before submitting, working with MBA and beyond possibly. So this they regularly admit candidates with also career gaps or lower GPAs or GMAT scores below the average. That's why rolling admissions mean the admission committee reviews fewer applications each a month, also enabling more personalized evaluation and more holistic too. So for candidates with the lower GPA or career gaps, providing some additional context spent traveling or upskilling or preparing for exams can help strengthen their application. But basically, they will have these flexible, let's say, flexible deadlines. They will say rolling admissions, but they will have in any way flexible deadlines. That there may be large application windows with a range of deadlines, or with some schools no set deadlines at all, but applications are reviewed as they are received.
Yeah,
I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And I hope, because I do get that question a lot every time I'm doing a profile evaluation. Now, for anybody, like we've got candidates who've already started working and they're almost ready with their first drafts of essays for HEC and INSEAD. And as Maria correctly addressed that, how do candidates really make it through with low GPA, low GMAT, or let's say even lesser number of years or more number of years of experience, because both the schools go too much in depth on getting to know you beyond your scores or beyond the credentials that we traditionally consider as, the check boxes. So it's always important, if you're targeting HEC and INSEAD, to be proactive than reactive. I bet you cannot write an application in 2 weeks for INSEAD and HEC. They are very heavy applications, and on an average, it can take 40 to 60 days to pull off one single school's really good application that gets you an admit. So if you're thinking January 26, and if you have a baseline score, which may or may not be up to the mark that you're thinking right now is good enough to submit, you should already start working on your applications. And the moment you get the best score possible and your application is ready, click the submit button. So you're not thinking in a linear fashion for these schools, but you have to deal and juggle with both the things parallelly. That's going to be our advice. However, having said that, a lot of candidates also see this as an opportunity to target September 26 with a little bit of background and a foundation, because you have applied to 2 schools earlier in the year. And if you do want to target some other schools, you do get that window of 4 to 5 months after you've submitted these applications. So your foundations of the story and narrative are really strong. We will move on to the questions in the chat window right now. But before that, I know, Priyanka, you had your hand raised. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? I'm so sorry we waited too long for you to.
No worries. No
Yes.
worries. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the this very helpful session. My question is that for the not for the 26 intake, but for the 25 intake, I understand, the later rounds would be ongoing now. So is it advisable for a Indian applicant to apply in these rounds, or it would be highly discouraged?
Okay, I can take this one. So Priyanka, what we have observed in the last, I would say, 3 intakes, I'm not just saying rounds, intakes, is that the business schools are trying to maintain a good gender balance class, right? And they are striving pretty hard for it. This is exactly where we have noticed that female candidates, the conversion rate, on an average, like whatever the conversion rate of R3 is, like later round is, it is higher for female candidates. For instance, you guys might have read, a few of our success stories that it's 630 GMAT, someone got through INSEAD, right? She applied in R3. She got through, and she also got a scholarship, 18K, so I would recommend, I would say female applicants feel free to go for R3. Unfortunately, Indian male or male guys, I think you have better chances in R1, for the next intake. This is as per data,
Sorry, I'm just going to joke a little around this because, or you're planning to change your gender by any chance in the next few months. Sorry, Shantanu, you can go back to explaining.
No, that's it. Indian males, guys, I think, or I would say any competitive pool male, or males in general, I think, it's just, the next intake is just 6 months apart. So wait for R1.
Yeah. So Rishabh, before you, I'm going to move on to the question in the chat box first and maybe take a couple and then Rishabh will come back to you. SP is asking, is HEC Paris Jan intake 12 months a good parallel to INSEAD 12 months program for someone who's looking for career, sector and location change? Or when it comes to HEC, one should only focus on 16-month program. Maria, maybe you can address
good
that.
question. Yeah, that's a good reflection. Well, I've been in touch with my ex-colleagues from HEC Paris MBA, and they are just launching a most condensed intake in January as of 2025. So for 2026 January, you will have 12-month program in length, right? So you will have a choice of following a 16-month as of September, or choosing a more accelerated, let's say, MBA in 12 months. So I would advise you waiting for that intake if you would go with HEC with more shorter 12 months program. As we know that INSEAD has been having this MBA program of 10 months for ages since ever, right? So I think that's why people, when comparing schools, they know basically they will need to be away of their workspace with limited salary or no salary at all over this time during the program. So that plays a huge role while deciding which program you will be going for. So in this case, you will really want to see where the program is based, probably. I don't know where your career will be going in future years. Will be this concentrating and focusing around Asia. So they will have INSEAD they have a campus in Singapore, or your career will going towards Europe. So you can choose between INSEADMBA or HECMBA. So that's also something that you should take into consideration. But basically, they will have these shorter 10 and 12 months program as of January 26.
Thanks, Maria. Moving on, Rishabh, I'm going to come back to you in a bit. Emma is asking if we saw. Okay,
I would like to add a thing over here,
yeah,
guys.
please, sorry about that.
I've done a 10-month program, like it was 10 plus 2, right? 10 plus 8 weeks, not even 2 months. It's crazy, just in the first 8 weeks, you realize 20% of the MBA is over, right? Because INSEAD has 5 periods, right? Then after 16 weeks, you realize 40% of the MBA is over, right? And then a lot of your actions are being driven because of FOMO, you have fear of missing out, you're just doing what everyone is doing, and then after a while, I think so I was in the Jan intake, and I had like 8 weeks of break in between. It really helped me. It really, really helped me in a way that, I just put a break, and then I was like, am I really doing what I was here for? Or, it's just going, and I'm just flowing, so all I'm trying to say is that, um, like a 12-month program or a 16-month program, eventually, I think just think from the perspective that, are you really ready to rush it through? I mean, rush is a wrong word. Or are you really ready to accelerate it? And it's a personal call. I wouldn't say that one program is better than the other, right? It's actually a personal call that, no, I think I'm good. I can take it in 12 months. So yeah, just think on this particular point. Both the programs.
You're right. You're completely right, Shantanu. I would also I have an anecdote from a participant actually, who said, I was imagining this as a marathon, but actually it's a marathon at full speed. So it's a machine, really. So you are right on all points. It is you don't expect this speed for you to be hit in full face. So be ready. It is intense. It is very intense. We are speaking 16 months or 10 or 12 months, but it is really intense. So yeah, it's a personal call regarding the schools. The programs are basically the same general management programs, depending where your career is going later on and what are your also personal inspirations and motivations. But it is a full speed marathon.
Thanks, both of you. I know like most of us are here because we are interested in 1-year programs. And I mean, of course, US offers very limited opportunity for us to pursue that. But if you will look at how European MBA programs has inspired a lot of global schools, other global schools like Kellogg and Cornell, and I mean, there are so many which are launching new accelerated programs now because everybody is considering the whole ROI aspect, and you're going to be away from workforce, which Maria has multiple times addressed. So yes, it's a choice you have to make. Looking at, do people make career switches, and along with geography, yes, people do, and there are a lot. You just put a LinkedIn filter of INSEAD and HEC and look at whatever many people you're able to see and what kind of pivots they've really made. We know folks who've moved from product management to management consulting, and from management consulting to product management, vice versa. And we have also seen people coming from, let's say, asset management space going into marketing and into entertainment like Spotify and Netflix. So it's all possible because there's a huge network. You've got that alumni base across the globe. But yes, you need to have certain kind of clarity in your head what you want to get out of an MBA, while you should be willing to explore, of course, what opportunities you will tap into while you're in the program. So moving on to the second question, which is Emma's question, and it's a very valid question. So she's asking, if we submit our application, but we're waiting for the referrals to submit their part, does it take our submission date of completion, or does it consider application complete once the referrals have submitted? I think I mean, I would count on Maria and Shantanu, you for this.
Right. I think, and I've been on this side at comms. While you're working on your application, you are not, we are not forcing you to have it all at once, right? So while you're working on your essays, we usually recommend people to reach out to their referees, right? I personally know on HEC side that they value referees from your professional background, somewhere on your highly placed, so your manager or a mentor or somebody who is running the whole department, but also somebody on another side, your client or a partner. But also they value referees from academically, right? the institution you've been going previously. So while working on your application, reach out to your referees. They will be prepared to work on their essays. And once they are done, of course, you will give them some time, limited time, as you will, of course, mention you're working on your application, and you will have to have these all together ready for that and that date. But while working on your essays, reach out to them, prepare them. There are some also within MBA and beyond good insights and let's say type of things they can be motivated and inspired, and they can prepare it for you. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. So, Maria and Shantanu, will the application be considered complete
Right.
once? Yeah.
So what generally happens, what we've seen is that it would be great that if you can, if the referees also submit their part by the deadline. Mostly schools give 48 hours grace period. They would say that, okay, you're submitting your essays, you can take 48 hours, but you actually have to put up an email to ADCOM. And there are a few cases where if you inform them well in advance, you can tell them that, hey, one of my referee is not available at all.
Mhm.
But I think that is the right person for me to write the LOR. I have seen both the schools giving 1 week after the deadline, but not beyond that, guys. I mean, if it's coming after that, you'll be considered in the next round.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of rolling admission, what does this mean? So let's say if the deadline is 15th of March for HEC and INSEAD, giving an example, and the candidate submitted the application, let's say 15th of February. I mean, the application and the referee takes all the time and they do it by 10th of March. So the application will be considered complete on 10th of March, right? Will it be read after, or will it be read if the essays have been submitted? And that's
your application is not complete without LOR. I think that is where Maria was saying earlier, right? That you need to speak to your referees. You need to tell them that, hey, I'm really working hard over this, right? And the way we generally, and I was surprised, like, what's over here, but my bad.
I'm just going to talk
Yeah.
about how MBA and Beyond in the first step does this. So just the day you come on board, there is a special section for you to provide us with 3 email references, one personal connection, one professional, and the third one could be either one of them. So the initial idea for us to gather this content was to reach out to them, to understand your strengths and weaknesses and achievements, just because we wanted to get done with the biases that you will bring in your application. And we want to really undo all the biases, because ADCOMs can really read through those. And sometimes we do bring our own biases when it comes to strengths and weaknesses. However, what we saw over time at MBA and Beyond, that some candidates started putting their recommenders' email addresses here because they've got a good rapport with their recommenders. That kind of already helps you gauge what kind of recommendation is going to be coming in, and already starts the conversation between you and your consultant to discuss the points that your recommender or your referee should be putting in, which should be supporting everything that you're saying in your essay and not completely misaligned or opposite of what you're saying, because it has to support your essays, right? So yeah, I was just taking this opportunity. It's really important for you to start the conversation as soon as you start working on your essays, or just thinking about your applications just in general. Okay, we can, Rishabh, why don't you unmute yourself and ask your question, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Thank you very much, Paridi, for this opportunity. I actually had 2 disjointed questions for both Maria and Shantanu. The first one being that throughout the application process, what should be my touch points with the ADCOM? I mean, HEC has this facility wherein you can first share your CV and they do a screening and they give you a feedback on your overall profile. What sort of communication should I have with the ADCOM? And second, if I do intend to make a campus visit, does that make a difference overall in terms of my application process? And the second disjointed question was, both of these applications are intensive in the sense that they would have a total of about 20 odd questions, including the LOR questions as well. How do you start ideating between what would go into each question? Basically, how do you start storyboarding and try to keep it messy so like responses are not repeated across the questions?
Right, I'll love to answer the second part, right? But from the AdCom perspective, Maria, would be great if you can take up that, if someone is visiting,
Sure.
how does AdCom, view this?
So do you start or do I start? I don't understand.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first part, regarding the campus visit, right? What it was, actually you will show your interest in the program through all these events. They will carefully follow each interested candidate. The first get in touch with the school is not with the adcoms at all. You don't get in touch with them through the first phase of your application at all. You will be in touch with the recruitment team, right? That will pass on your their insights about you, your profile, your exchanges in the beginning, possibly this initial interview, onto the admission committee, right? And they will then together be deciding later on in the procedure about your application. But of course, the consistency is key here, right? So if you're interested in one of these programs, get in touch with them, follow their webinars, ask questions, fill in this first preliminary form, attach your CV. They will get your this review and feedback quite quickly. I was responsible for doing this, and from my personal perspective, people who were in touch with me regularly, of course, I knew this person is 80%, if 90% here with us. This person is engaged from very beginning, right? So do that if you think this will and it can increase. Of course, your application should remain strong, right? You should tick all the boxes. Unfortunately, there are some boxes to tick, but the AdCom will review and value your application holistically. You should gather it all and come all together with all these aspects of your application. But yes, engage through all these means. I know personally HEC Paris MBA will, as soon as you get in touch with them, they will right away connect you to regionally to their hub and to alumni or participants, so you can really get out of their experiences right away and compare and explore this in the beginning. Really be sure of your choice. That's the priority. We don't want you to be disappointed once in class, right? Nobody wants that, neither the school nor your classmates, right? So preparing things, exploring things, and engaging in the procedure or ahead of the procedure is a great idea. So I'm very supportive.
Right. And just to touch a little bit upon this, is your visibility matters. And if you could leave like an indelible mark while there, while visiting the campus, right? That's wonderful. We also ask applicants to keep on attending the webinars, right? And ask questions, ask like strong questions, right? Again, to be visible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to answer the second part of your question, Rushabh, yeah, that is the trickiest thing, right? Like, how do you do it? Like, what content first of all you shortlist, and then how do you make sure that what to say where? So I'm going to share my screen. For applicants' identity, I can't share the entire stuff. While I was listening to Maria, I also made a few edits so that you can't identify the applicant. So I'm going to share a little work working on HEC Paris actually. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. So what we do is we list down all the essays over here, right? There are more essays at the bottom. Like I said, I can't share that. Then what we do is this is message / narrative. So already before coming to this step, we through the content gathering phase have identified you, like your consultant has already identified what narrative needs to go in, like who are you, right? And then we would have identified your strengths, your achievements. So here what we call is supporting evidence, right? So we list down all the questions, and here what we're doing is we're just strategizing. We're not writing the essays at the moment, and we are saying that out of the entire narrative, this chunk is going to go over here, the other chunk is going to go over here, and that chunk is going to go over here. Now I feel this is the anecdote I should talk about, for me to address this particular message. This is the anecdote I need to talk about here. This is the anecdote I should talk here. So now what it's going to do is it's going to give a holistic a view of your entire application, and we can actually see, are we repeating anything, or is there anything we have missed, or should we move this one here and this one there? How's it going to look? So it's about visualizing the entire application and making sure that everything falls into place. I hope, Rishabh, I've answered your question, and now I've got to stop sharing this.
Perfect. I think that helps a lot. Thank you so much, Shantanu and Maria.
Thanks, guys. So just building up on what Shantanu and Maria have mentioned, that you have to make yourself visible. I'm going to just share example of this candidate who we landed at INSEAD at 6:30 GMAT. So I wouldn't say it was just us, it was both of us together and more of her, because she made sure in round 3, even though she was going for round 3, she was attending all the webinars that INSEAD hosted. And the kind of questions she was asking over there as she was building her application, she made herself so visible, like Maria said, that probably AdComs knew that let's minus her score. It does not matter. She's just so good, and one of our consultants often say this, which I think we sometimes miss when we're doing a rushed application, because we don't get time to be attending so many webinars and make ourselves visible. We do not try to relate to the school to express our love for the school. That's what matters to the school. Like you have to, while you have to, like the school has to be a fit for you, right? You also have to prove that you are the fit. But I think we're just so engrossed in thinking that we have to prove ourselves as a fit, but we also have to ask the school these questions. How are they serving us? And the more we ask those questions, the schools feel that, okay, this guy or this girl or this person is genuinely interested in facilitating their own growth via our MBA. So define questions which just do not showcase how fit you are, but how fit the school is for you as well. So we're going to roll back to the questions in the chat window, and then AS, we're going to come back to you. I'm going to skip a few, and we're going to keep
Sorry, not a question. I just, sorry to cut you off. Just super happy that you validated this in finding. All 3 of you, Maria, Paridhi, and Shantanu. I just visited the INSEAD Singapore campus today. So really happy to know that the visibility helps. Thank you so much.
Thanks, AS. All right. Going back to the questions, let me pick the most relevant one. All right. AS, I think this is your question, so we'll take that one. Do I hurt my chances if I apply in March versus January for January 26 intake at HEC? I'd be applying at INSEAD at the same time. Maria, do you want to comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the January 26th we are speaking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's recommended, and that's what we see. That's the tendency. People applying early in the process are actually exploring quite a few other institutions as well. So that's why rolling admissions actually very good with this policy. It's non-engaging process, right? So even if you're admitted, the school won't force you to confirm your spot right away, right? So as early as you start and you're admitted, you're exploring, as you said yourself, both schools. yes, I'm supportive of you. March is great for targeting January 26th, and of course, give it a shot to both schools. But as Preeti said, showing this love towards the institution is also something that they value a lot. So they can feel your motivation through these empathy and emotions, and they know that afterwards. So we are speaking about you being a participant throughout the MBA journey, but also they are thinking, this person post MBA will be a great ambassador. And we need these people around, right? For future generations, for our program in general. So yes, March for both schools, I think you have a good way of testing both and see how you go.
Thanks, Maria. AS, do you have a follow-up question to this? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. So maybe just an addition to my previous question, Maria, what I also wanted to understand, because for the January 26th intake, the deadlines or the rounds start in January itself, which is now. So do I have a better shot if I apply now versus March is also what I wanted to understand.
What we suggest every time is as early as possible, but it depends if you're ready to start now, right? So don't rush it. It's not about okay, I need to do it as soon as possible. You have to be prepared. Your essays should be refined. You should prepare your GMAT or GRE. You should prepare yourself for these interviews, first initial interviews. This is also the crucial first step while you are making towards the institution, right? I know personally from my experiences, this first interview is either great or not great at all, a whole disappointed towards regarding the career path previously, right? So that's how they do. So recruitment team will take a look at your career path, your short, let's say, preliminary form, and then get to speak to you. So this consistency in while speaking to them and then translating this into your essays should be always the same. This red line should always stay in consistency, right? So whatever you say on your motivations in the first interview, that should be also reflecting into your essays, right? And then possibly with your referees as well. So I always say consistency is key here, right? It's something that you should reflect, of course. I always say people take time, think it through, go and speak with your family, with your close friends, with your colleagues at work. If you have mentors, you're lucky to have mentors, do that. It's of a great help here to reflect on what is my next step, what is good for me, which program, and then decide on the application deadline, start working on your essays, reach out to your referees, and build up this project slowly but surely.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. This answers my question.
All right. I'm
Thank you.
going to take a few questions that also come up in profile evaluations. So Shivanesh is asking, what is the minimum GMAT focus score to target INSEAD HEC with 8 years of work experience for Classic Edition? The average score seems to be 710. So Shantanu, do you want to talk about this? Because there's no right or wrong answer to this. Yes.
Yeah, so when you're an Indian applicant, Indian male engineer, just add 20 points to it, whatever the average is. If you see a school with an average of 710, then I think 730 is the average for your pool. But if you are coming from an underrepresented pool, then I think you can reduce the points For example, we've had success for someone from Nigeria, male at 660. Whereas someone also at INSEAD, it's not just a score. International exposure matters a lot. If you don't have it, if you don't have international exposure, even a 770, might be difficult. Then it's less about the score. And then also coming to the other point, there are a lot of people who have international exposure and they're like, no, I want to apply in some other schools. I think if you have international exposure, then you should definitely leverage INSEAD. And I think the score with international exposure, the score of around for Indian male 720 is fine for international people. Again, depending on where you're from, even below 710, below 700, you can still get through. And for females, like I said earlier, we've had successes at 630, 70, 80, 90, 690 LBS 100% scholarship, not just NCR. So that works.
Maria, do you want to chime in or? Yeah.
I can add just shortly. I believe with HEC Paris MBA, GMAT, the average GMAT score for the previous classes is 690 or 635 under the focus edition. So they strongly encourage candidates to submit a GMAT with balanced score, let's say above 60% for the quantitative and verbal sections. On GMAT focus, this will be equal to a performance in the around 80% under each format.
Thanks, both of you. All right, Shrived is asking, again, a very common question. I have a low CGPA in my graduation. However, I want to apply for INSEAD. What can I do to make up for a low GPA? Should I do an additional certification or any advice that can specifically help me with INSEAD application? Shantanu, any thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was actually answering few people's questions over there because I thought we'll not be able to take every question. My bad. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I have a low GPA in my graduation. However, I want to apply for INSEAD. What can I do to make up for a low GPA? Should I do any additional certification or any advice that can specifically help me with INSEAD application?
Correct. So see, first of all, what does GPA indicate, right? Why does school look into it? They want to understand, can you handle the academic rigor over there? Because it's intense. The programs are really intense. And now your GPA, that ship sailed years ago, right? You can't do anything to improve that. But to help them understand whether you can handle academic rigor or not, you can focus on getting good test score, GMAT or GRE. And then apart from that, what we also do is we address this through optional essay. We specifically mention, identify all the points that how you would be able to handle the academic rigor there in the program, and that has worked. So yeah, that's what you should do.
Right, thank you. Okay, going further. All right, Ellie is asking, given that it is a one-year program, is there even time to socialize with our peers and conduct social events, campus related and beyond? I think that's a fun question to answer. Shantanu, Maria, your thoughts are welcome.
Yeah, that's all about extra activities. That's what I've been seeing within participants. They love to have fun. They are party animals, because it's intense, right? So you want to go out and do something else afterwards. You will be sleep deprived, definitely, over a year, because there are so many options to do beside your sitting in class and learning and exchanging and so on. But you will have to go and see your schedule and choose on those options. What should I do this week? Should I go for extra activities, sports, networking events, networking with partner companies, doing internships, going outside with classmates? And basically what I've been hearing from participants is that fostering networking is within these extra activities after class, right? That's the time where you bond where you speak about other things and you speak also about your professional projects during the MBA journey. And I think it's a great way to really bond and make this whole class become a family. And that's what they usually do. They become a huge family. They stay very close to each other after completing the program, supporting themselves personally or on different professional projects. So yes, I'm very supportive of doing all extra activities after the class.
Yeah, and generally what happens is that you could, so they're like, you can sleep, you can study, you can socialize, right? And then what we used to do, I mean, what we call it in INSEAD is that there are 3 S's, like all these 3 S's, like sleep, study, socialize. You can only do 2 at a given day, right? So what we do is, like, in a week, we would say that, like this week I'm going to socialize and I'm going to sleep, right? And the other week I'm going to study and I'm going to sleep. Right. And then the other week I'm going to study and I'm going to socialize. Generally, what happens is the sleep suffers, that's how it goes. Because everyone, after 8 p.m., like you get a ping from someone, hey, are you coming to this pub? Yeah. So, like Maria said, big party animals. You will also have like a few houses where majority of the parties are going to happen, and then you, out of FOMO, right, you will go and attend those. You'll attend dinners, right? And there's a bunch of things that are actually happening. Eventually sleep suffers, guys. That's the reality. Yeah.
Thank you, both of you. But yes, there'll be a lot of fun. Of course, we'll sacrifice a few things over the others. We just touch upon 2 more questions quickly without going too much in detail because we just have 4 minutes left. One, does HC and INSEAD offer waivers? GMAT, GRE, no. The second question is, how do both the schools see older candidates? I'm assuming like 10 to 15 years of experience. That person didn't put the number of years of experience, but they said that I have considerable years of working experience and currently managing my own firm. Do I still have to do GMAT, GRE? And then there was another question where, like, how do they see older candidates? So any thoughts on that, Maria, Shantanu?
Right. 10 to 15 years of professional experiences in managing his own company right now, I would strongly suggest EMBA. As you have, I mean, it's not, the question is that I'm getting from people is where do I belong? Do I do MBA? Do I do EMBA? What is the difference? People are quite often very, very confused. So MBA program is designed for young professionals, right? In their 20s, possibly late 20s, on average 5 to 6 years of professional experience. When you start having 10 and above, 10 to 15, and you're in your 30s, mid 30s, I would strongly suggest in terms of this exchange, right? So you will come to the class with a enormous life experience, right? Also professional experience. You will be able to bring your added value here in that sense. And what will they bring back to you? That's the question, right? If you expect the same, then MBA is, in terms of professional experience and maturity in general, is not at the same level, right? So if you aim for more mature class and exchange, that in that sense, I would suggest EMBA versus MBA, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just last question, because we've got 2 minutes. Everybody's looking for
For the last question, what I feel is that a lot of people asking for scholarships.
Yes, I was also going to bring that one up. So want to know more about scholarships available and what is the maximum covered. So maybe both of you can talk about INSEAD and HEC, and then we can close the session.
Right. I'll quickly cover INSEAD for this. INSEAD is notorious to give scholarships, right? Having said that, I've seen like 18K, 20K token amount euros, is being granted. But I also want to touch upon the other part where people ask like, what should I write in the scholarship essay, right? Like the biggest mistake that people make is that they're pleading for scholarship. Hey, please give me scholarship, you know, or they are actually saying, you know, I come from a background where my father used to go on a cycle, you know, like 20 kilometers away for school. You know, I've really had hardships, right? A lot of people have had those hardships. I think the tone should be that eventually, who is going to give you scholarship, you know, a particular foundation or the school, it's an investment on you. And why should they make that investment on you? You know, what are you going to contribute? What are you going to give back? That should be the tone. And the other part of the tone is that, hey, you know, I'm going to write this way. Are you with me? All I'm trying to say is, like, as an applicant, you say to the school that I am going to write this wave. You know, whatever I just said, I'm going to do it. You know, are you coming along? I think that's the tone. Again, not aggressive, but also not. You need to find a sweet balance between not being arrogant and not being like pleading. You know, stay in between. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I will agree definitely with this motivation part. Firstly, yes, the chances of getting a scholarship early in the application cycle is crucial. And then secondly, try to tailor your scholarship essay according to the scholarship criteria, right? So schools will have different criteria, merit-based, gender-based, coming from certain emerging markets, countries, LGBT, gender-based as well. A lot of scholarship for women, women leaders. So try to tailor this according to this criteria, right? So AdCom strongly value community-minded individuals, and also especially socially responsible. So this strong academic and professional profile with track record of professional achievements, demonstrated leadership skills, and also potential for future exceptional performance and impact is highly valued. So try to work around these criteria. That's my advice.
Thanks, both of you. And thank you, everyone, for being a lovely audience today. I hope you found the session insightful, and all the best for your applications for January 2026. If you're coming on board, we'll be happy to have you. All the best. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Shantanu.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye. Ciao, ciao. Ciao.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.